Hey there, Patriots. Welcome back to the front lines. Death Watch here to give you guys more intel so you can update your personal armory and fight back against the fake news media machine. And today we're going to be discussing Anita Sarkeesian because she is closing down Feminist Frequency early 2024. And Polygon here is going to show you exactly why gaming journalism in the current era is a joke, a straight up joke. Okay. Polygon does what they know how to do best, is being nothing more than a bunch of ideologues who are driven by nothing more than their political progressive views in how they interject that with everything that they do, right? So what they're going to sit here and tell us and try to tell us is to kind of gaslight us into believing that Anita Sarkeesian and Feminist Frequency actually had some major worthwhile positive impact in the gaming industry. Okay, newsflash, they didn't. Okay, so Anita Sarkeesian is shutting down Feminist Frequency after 15 years, right? We were talking about representation very early on in a mainstream way. This is the quote. Anita Sarkeesian is tired. More importantly, we as gamers are tired of her and tired of people like her who are nothing more than a bunch of progressive ideologues who are invading spaces in order to interject their political bullcrap everywhere they go, right? I talked about this in my video, Traditional Masculinity and Why Feminism Needs to Destroy It, right? They openly say that we live in a cis, hetero, white patriarchy, right? That is America or Western civilization, in how in certain movies, right? In movies, TV shows, all these other pop culture media, the way in which they present male characters, traditionally masculine characters, is problematic because presenting these male characters as strong, stoic, forthright, oh, upstanding, right, unfearing, like all these different, qualities that men should have. Well, that's problematic. That's toxic male. That's toxic masculinity. We need to destroy those type of representation of men, make them effeminate, make them weak, make them overtly stupid, while at the same time showing women as being, sexy, showing women as being seductress, right? Anything that is, in their vision, anything that makes that pushes for positive gender stereotypes for women, right? That's problematic because that, in some way, in their mindset, it shows women as being weak, as nothing more than sexual objects, but yet in their own media spaces and other media outlets, they'll do the exact same thing to themselves, right? Women will cosplay, wearing very revealing clothes. But when you, as a guy, actually enjoy that, well, you're the evil, toxic, male, the pig you are. Okay. So for anybody who wants to really know what is going down with all this type of crap, right? I believe trigonometry. It was trigonometry had a good episode where they actually brought on a writer. I believe it was like, I think you really said like last week sometime. So it's probably like 4 days old. But one of the this writer was openly talking to these guys and saying that what current day feminism is trying to do is write female characters as male characters, right? And I talked about this in my video, where I said that, yeah, they are trying to essentially emasculate and feminize men while at the same time giving those so-called toxic masculinity qualities, right? The type of things that are seen in the average man. They're saying that's, those type of tropes, those are toxic. But when they're applied to women, and women are now being written as overtly masculine characters, right? Well, then that's positive female reinforcement. Because again, it is nothing more than saying, hey, we should kind of equalize how we show both sexes in a film, right? A man and woman can be side by side fighting on the battlefront, right? I showed a picture of He-Man and She-Ra together. Both of them are men, they're fighting on the front lines together in equality, right? Fighting against Skeletor and the forces of evil. But no, instead they want to make He-Man, right, in the new Kevin Smith version. What do? It's all about Tila. Tila is drawn overtly masculine, right? She literally looks like a girl with a female head attached to a male body. Okay, they want to kill off He-Man and have the female protagonist be the main star, all about her and how she's the hero, right? How her and all the other people are heroes. Not He-Man. It's all about Tila and her group of friends who are the heroes. Okay? That's kind of how Feminist Frequency tried to insert that type of bullcrap feminist theory nonsense into the gaming spaces, right? And because all these other news writers, they all went to the same liberal arts colleges, right? They all learned about this nonsense feminist theory, right? When I was in college, I hopped in one of those women in film studies classes because I need to know what they're talking about, right? I'm hearing all this feminist theory crap being thrown around all over the place. So I need to actually sit down in a class and learn from these people, right? My teacher was a graduate from Harvard, right? She was a hyper feminist, right? I had to sit there and listen to her because I needed to know what type of information they're spreading out there to all these other girls and who's taking these classes who are trying to be writers. They want to be writers. They want to be directors. They want to be producers in this in the film industry. I need to know what exactly they're being taught and how they are trying to essentially warp reality in these films and try to undo the so-called evil toxic patriarchy. Okay, this is exactly what went down with Feminist Frequency and Gamergate. It was ideologues like Anita Sarkeesian and her lackeys, along with Zoe Quinn and her lackeys, essentially gaslighting and lying to the public about what was going down in the gaming industry by saying that because men overtly make up the majority of like all these different fandoms, it is inherently toxic. It is inherently against feminism, right? Against women, because women can't enter these spaces with a bunch of men in it, right? So therefore, these people need to they had to go to the game developers, right? They have to go to the game developers and tell them that, hey, you guys are harboring a community of evil, white, toxic men who are nothing more than a bunch of isms and bigots, right? And because of this, you guys need to change up the way that you represent female characters and represent male characters. You need to make male characters more emasculine, more weak, more feminist, more, all these soy boy guys who are like, this is what a real feminist looks like. And they're the most effeminate, emasculated guy ever, right? I cover articles where they're openly trying to tell you that, hey, if you're a guy and you like to work out, you are a toxic male. You are evil. Hey, guess what? Don't work out too much because you're going to become right wing, right? But yet at the same time, oh, if you're a woman, go work out, go do other things to make yourself essentially be more empowered, right? Again, trying to emasculate men and try to make women adopt more masculine qualities, right? And so at the end of the day, what does Feminist Frequency, what does Anita Sarkeesian actually have to show after 15 years? Absolutely nothing. Nothing. I can't look at anything that she really was a part of, right? Because when you go to her her Wikipedia page, you look at all this crap. What awards did she actually win? Literally nothing here. Okay, Feminist Frequency blog was highlighted by Feminist Collection and Media Report to Women, a clearly a ideologically driven news outlet, giving her awards. What's that? Gamma Sutra considered the harassment and success of Feminist Frequency a catalyst that led to a new attention on the importance of diversity and inclusion in the gaming culture and industry, right? They named this call for inclusion one of the 5 trends that defined the game industry in 2012. In 2013, Newsweek magazine and the Daily Beast named Sarkeesian one of their 125 women of impact. In 2014, Sarkeesian received the Ambassador Award at the 14th Annual Game Developers Choice Award for her work on the representation of women in video games. Okay, so she's not an actual game developer. Her company, Feminist Frequency, isn't a game development company that's actually churning out games. But somehow she's winning awards for Game Developers Choice. That's clearly ideological driven, right? Because at the same time that she was, her and Zoe Quinn was, coming up, you had a lot of these other spaces that were hyper polarized, hyper politicized, feminists were out there saying that, hey, there's not enough female actors, right, in lead roles. There's not enough female producers, not enough female writers in the writing room, right? We all know about High Guardian Spice, right? They all sat around a room, made a video saying, hey, we're a room full of women, right? We're making a TV show all about women and all this other crap, right? Complete dog turd of a make believe anime, a wannabe anime, okay? Because they cared so much about representation that they actually forgot to make actual good quality characters in a good story for characters for the audience to actually latch onto, right? Same thing with Anita Sarkeesian and all these other game developers, right? The last thing that she was attached to that I remember was Anthem, right? They decided to bring her aboard and to, for some reason, I forgot what it was. I remember reading a post about it and somebody reacting to it. But apparently she was part of, had some say so in the way that Anthem was being written or how characters were being written. Anthem was a dog turd game. The mechanics for the game was terrible. People just overall just said, "Hey, this is a terrible game. We're not, nobody's gonna continue playing this after a week or two, right?" And it happened. Nobody played the game. The game went, turned their servers off, right? It was a terrible game. It's just straight up. So again, she's getting all these awards, getting all these recognitions from different tabloid magazines, but we all know a lot of these tabloids are ideological driven, right? We all know about Rolling Stone, right? They just tried to attack Sound of Freedom as nothing more than a QAnon right wing conspiracy, even though it was based off of the movie was based off a real event, a real person doing a real thing, saving a bunch of kids from being slaves. But Rolling Stone wants to sit here and say, hey, that's all conspiracy. Don't believe that crap. Don't watch that movie. The Verge, we all know The Verge, they failed to even create a, they're supposed to be a PC technology news outlet. They decided to try to, hey, come watch me build a gaming PC, completely ruin the build when people kind of cracked on the guy, went at the guy, was like, hey, this guy's an idiot. These people are showing you how to destroy your PC gaming build. They decided to attack back by saying, oh, these people are just harassing this dude because he's black. No, people are criticizing you for being idiots, right? So again, all these people, Cosmopolitan, no, they're all the same. They're ideologically driven. Okay, and again, Anita Sarkeesian has nothing to show. Okay, we can go keep going into this, right? Though some feminist frequency initiatives like Programs Manager Jay Lynn's accountability group, Respec, never heard of it. We live on in a different ways. The organization as a whole will disband by the end of the year. The game and online harassment hotline, which the team spun up in 2019 as the industry reckoned with the systemic sexism harassment, will run through the end of September. Yada, 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 right? But one thing that I really wanted to highlight here was Sarkeesian's work made feminist critique of the video game industry impossible to ignore. And developers listen. Yes, the video game industry has a long way to go. Not everyone listen, but feminist frequency's criticism helped bring the language of feminism, right? Helped bring the language of feminism into a space that was often ignorant to it. So again, full mask off with Polygon here, openly saying that yes, they were essentially just shoehorning feminist theory straight into the gaming pop culture space. They were the Trojan horse. Okay, we're just here talking about how these tropes in video games are kind of detrimental to the feminist, persona in America or Western civilization, right? We just want to sit down and say, hey, the way that you represent women in certain games are kind of harmful to women, right? But really what they're trying to do is the Trojan horse is to insert feminist theory into this space. Again, when I went to these film classes where there were hyper politicized feminists running these classrooms, they were openly saying, hey, let's critique movies in these ways that no average American would look at a movie and say, oh yeah, this is problematic because of this, and this, right? In the feminist worldview, they found several things problematic with several different movies, and it's completely ridiculous, right? And they sit there and they tell these girls who want to go into the film industry, and whatever other industry, the new journalism space or whatever, right? They say, hey, these are the things that you have to be aware of that are problematic, and this is how you should become a operative in these industries in order to change this for the feminist cause. And again, these ideologues will then graduate from these liberal arts schools with these bachelors of arts degrees, go into these industries, hyper politicized, being radicals for the feminist cause. And this is the way that they insert themselves, insert their worldview into these different mediums. Okay? And so going down here, it's not the first time Sarkeesian considered shutting down feminist frequency. She found it had reached its natural conclusion several times before, but there was always something new pulling her and the team back into it, right? We can probably get into all that crap, right? But really, Gamergate, right? You can go back and look at internet historian Mr. Medicare, right? All his breakdowns of what Gamergate really was between Anita Sarkeesian, Zoe Quinn, and the Five Guys. Okay, that started all this whole fiasco. Okay, Feminist Frequency's legacy is twofold. There's the unique video essay and criticism on his YouTube channel, which is, whatever, right? It's really not that good. If you watch the actual videos, right, I would play some of them, but I don't want to be copyright struck. But the videos aren't really high quality. They're just bullcrap. Okay, YouTube itself was only a few years old when Sarkeesian started publishing videos on the site in 2009. One of the earliest is a 5-minute musing on Dollhouse TV renewal compared to the cancellation Terminator, the Sarah Connor Chronicles. The videos are simple in premise, and with Sarkeesian talking right into the camera, sometimes with occupying video or image. She found great success with this format over the years, using it in Tropes versus Women in Video Games to break out series that hit the industry like a lightning bolt. Each episode, Tropes versus Women in Video Games, tackled a different prominent trope. Sarkeesian appeared on screen explaining to viewer not only what these tropes were and where they showed up in video games, provided critical feminist analysis, right? Some of her criticism was completely saying that games like, I remember in, you look this up, in the new Hitman series games, right? She tried to claim that, hey, this game rewards you, the hitman, the player, for killing women, right? Because in a mission where there is a room full of showgirls, you can take out those girls, right? But the problem is there's a point system, right? You're supposed to take out the target in their bodyguards or whoever is in the area that's actually designated as a target, right? And you get points. The more you get points to your overall score based on how creative you are to taking out the targets, multiple targets at once, and things like that, right? If you end up killing anybody who is not a target, right? Who is not a target or a bodyguard of said target, you get a deduction in points, right? So in the video, it clearly shows you losing points by taking out these showgirls who are non-targets, right? They're just regular NPCs, background civilian characters, right? She then tries to claim in the video that you are being rewarded for just being misogynistic, right? She does the same thing with GTA. She says, oh, well, in free mode, you're being rewarded because you can just run around in free mode, right? Which a lot of people do. And you can go out and just only take out the NPCs who are marginalized groups of people. If there's a black NPC, well, you can go out and do whatever you want to them, right? And that therefore empowers evil racists online, right? Like, she's just making crap up as she goes, right? None of these games reward you for being like doing vile and evil things, but she claims that it does empower evil sexist bigots, all these other people. And this is why these games are problematic. This is why these certain features in a game should not be allowed, right? Essentially taking the same arguments that we've heard about GTA Online, well, just GTA in general, right? Hey, video games, kids who play video games will grow up and learn that doing those things that they see in these violent movies, in these violent video games, is all right to do in real life. That's been debunked several times. Okay, but she instead, right? These feminists come back and say, "Hey, let's reverse that." Now, not only are the things that you see in video games that are violent, that are graphic, not only does that tell you, the player, that hey, you should go out and do this in real life, but you should also go out and do that to girls, to women, and to marginalized groups of people, right? Using the exact same arguments that have been debunked, right? All these news outlets, these so-called video game journalist news outlets, used to be like, hey, that's bunk. Saying that violent video games, violent movies are going to somehow encourage young people to go out and do violent things, that's BS. But all of a sudden, a bunch of feminists come into the room and say, well, actually, it implies and encourages people to do those violent things to women and black people. Well, hey, you know what? You're on to something. Let's listen to you. Let's write articles about it, right? Let's now call these gamers who are sitting here still saying that's BS. Let's instead call them the sexists, the bigots, and all this other crap, right? That's definitely going to go over well with the gaming community, right? In fact, let's go to the game developers and tell them that, hey, they need to take out certain features in their games because that empowers these so-called these consumers who are all a bunch of bigots and evil people, right? We don't need those people playing your games, right? That's essentially what went down. This is the movement that Sarkeesian and Anita Sarkeesian and Zoe Quinn and the rest of their lackeys created in this space. Okay? The series' influence persists to this day. Sarkeesian's work can be tied to a rise in more inclusive portrayals of women. People started to recognize these tropes and began to reverse them. Arcane Studios' Harvey Smith spoke with Sarkeesian about the influence of feminist frequency on his work. He specifically called out and said he remembered forever Sarkeesian's criticism of Dishonored's women. Every woman in Dishonored 1 is either a servant, a prostitute, a witch, a queen, or a little girl. You mean everyday any characters? Right, a servant, that's I don't know what's the there. That's a everyday person in the medieval times, right? Even like what's that supposed to mean? Smith told Sarkeesian in a video game, right? All the male characters are kings, scumbag, robbers, right? Over tyrannical guards. Okay, so what's your point? What's going on here, right? Would the game be worse if we took on an action on this, or would it be better? The game would be richer and more interesting. Harvey said that from Dishonored's DLC onward, Arcane made a deliberate effort to put women in more interesting roles. Similar, Naughty Dog director Neil Druckmann, right? We all know that guy, has spoken about Sarkeesian's work influence him personally and how she influenced his decision making Uncharted 4. Quote, I do think her work has informed the industry, Mark Chen, a lecturer at University of Washington, Buffalo, said. I mean, part of the reason we keep hearing about harassment or sexism in the industry, I think it's because of her efforts and others like her who forcibly made space for others to follow. Her work also continues to be referred to in academia, where it's influenced students who may go on to develop games, right? That's why I just said right there. Again, why did I take that women in film studies class, right? Because again, these people in academia who are these activists, radical activists, are sitting here telling these people who are trying to get into these industries, hey, these are the certain things that you need to look out for, and you need to go into these industries and change, right? This is the way that they portray men in movies are toxic. They're evil, they're bad because we don't like the patriarchy. These characters are the symbols of the patriarchy. So therefore, you got to go into these industries, make movies where these men are being forced to be emasculated, right? Again, look at Star Wars, right? I said this is my video. Look at Star Wars. Look at how they rewarded Luke Skywalker. Look how they rewarded Han Solo, right? There were two icons of heroism and masculinity, went toe to toe with the evil baddies of the galaxy, right? How were they rewarded? Han Solo is a deadbeat guy who lost his his famous starship. Okay, his son hates him and even kills him off in the first movie, or well, not the first movie, the first movie of the sequel trilogy. Luke Skywalker for some reason tried to kill his own nephew, right? And then decided to become a loser, secluding himself on some random planet. Okay, leaving his best friend and his own sister to fend off for themselves against the evil empire, right? Even Han Solo left his wife to fend off for herself against the evil empire. Okay, Indiana Jones, Same thing, right? He went toe to toe with all these with the Nazis who were trying to recreate the Dirt Right by searching for all these artifacts to hopefully rebuild, their empire. Okay, how did he get rewarded? His son gets killed off in Vietnam. His wife divorces him. He's now a sad, bumbling old man who hates his job. Nobody respects him as a treasure hunter or adventurer. He's a nobody. Okay, who do they all get replaced by? Some Mary Sue character who's a know-it-all, ultra powerful, who just walks in and says, "Hey, I know how to do everything. You guys all just have to follow me," and everybody's just like, "Woohoo! Yay! We love this person." All these old guys who we all like had several movies dedicated to showing their progression and how they evolved as actual human beings. Nah, screw those guys. Let's go with these random characters who are clearly just self-inserts of the writer's political and ideological beliefs. Right? Let's go with these characters and let's praise them and sit there and give Kathleen Kennedy and all these other people all the praise that they deserve and all this other crap, right? No, I'm not. I'm not doing that. Sorry, I don't like these characters. These characters have no identity whatsoever. Right? They are Mary Sue characters. They're essentially just you, the writers, drawing your crappy political beliefs into a film and saying, "Hey, pay me money." I'm not doing that. You're openly telling me to my face you don't like me because of my genitalia, or you don't like the society that we live in because you think that somehow it is telling me as a man that I must oppress you. Sorry, that's not how it works. That's not what I'm being told. Okay, get out of here. I'm not paying. I'm not paying my hard-earned money for your bullcrap. Sorry. Mark Santos, an associate professor of English at the University of North Colorado, used feminist frequency in his undergraduate English class that's focused on research writing on video games. Santos said he uses Sarkeesian's work on feminist frequency because it stands up to this day. No, it doesn't. None of it stands up to this day. Okay? Only the only people who believe that are, again, ideologues. Okay, but also as a way to show students how to research, present, analysis, and criticism, right? They couldn't even take Sarkeesian and all these people could not take the criticism that they were getting, things were getting shoved towards them. Okay, they all got super butthurt about it, and they had to go to their media ally buddies to sit down and write nonstop hit pieces against the gaming community, the actual fans and consumers of these games, right? Because the gamers came out and said, "Hey, this is a whole bunch of bullcrap. We don't like the way that you guys are representing us, saying that we're a bunch of evil, toxic people." Right? No, that's not who we are about. We're just ordinary people who just like playing video games, right? Okay. In a recent project, students used videos like "Lingerie is not body armor" and "Strategic butt coverings," right, which analyze the male gaze. Right, we talked about what the male gaze is. Essentially, male gaze just means that, hey, if you're a straight heterosexual male and you like women, you're evil. That's what it means. You like, hey, you're a guy and you like seeing women look attractive in a video game, in a movie. That's bad. You're not allowed to do that. However, these same women will then go out and do like Twitch streams where they literally just sit there in bikinis in the bathtubs, right? In bathtubs, in pools, they sexualize themselves. But if you're a guy and you sexualize women because you're a heterosexual male who actually is, who likes women, well, that's evil and that's sexist. That's toxic. You're a pig. You should not do that. Okay. In fact, you need to go through some type of re-education to fix your rotten brain. Okay, get out of here with that crap. In video games, as a basis of analysis of clothing in the first 100 role-playing games that pop up on stream. Like, okay. And then we can go all into Gamergate, right? They leave the Gamergate stuff to the end. But again, if you want to know what really happened with Anita Sarkeesian, Zoe Quinn, and Gamergate, look up Internet Historian, aka Mr. Medicare, right? He was the guy who basically exposed these people for what they are and exposed these media outlets for what they are. Nothing more than a bunch of ideologues who have successfully infiltrated, right? Gamergate was a failure, right? These people won at the end. They won at the end because they had they have successfully infiltrated all forms of the media apparatus, which allowed them to paint the picture that these people were essentially heroes who were doing nothing more than trying to push for inclusion and diversity, trying to make sure we can create a safe space for women. However, in reality, these were nothing more than a bunch of ideologues pushing their feminist theory nonsense into these spaces for money and power. Okay? Nobody was attacking women. Nobody was harassing women. Nobody was doing anything such as trying to harass marginalized groups of people. It was a bunch of individuals who decided that because of their own crap that they were getting into, Zoe Quinn specifically, all the crap that she was getting herself into, and her media buddies tried to rewrite the narrative around that to try to save her, and that then blew up because more people, more attention started getting more eyes started going towards where the person was yelling fire in the movie theater, right? Everybody started looking and say, hey, what's going on over there? It turns out that this person who's supposed to be an indie game developer is getting herself in a bunch of sticky situations, right? Anita Sarkeesian teams up with her to say, no, 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 it's just a bunch of evil men who are upset that a woman is creating video games. That was never what it was about. Nobody was upset with Zoe Quinn because she was a woman creating indie video games. There's plenty of them out there. There's plenty of female writers for video games, for movies, for TV shows. Nobody had a problem with any of these individuals, right? It was because of ideologues who found their grift, right, and found their opportunity to shove their ideology into a space, and they made a lot of money and a lot of success. But now it's starting to run dry because, again, at the end of the day, 15 years later, if they were really so impactful, right? If this company and her work were so impactful, her company wouldn't be going out of business. It would still be flourishing. It would be making a lot of money, right? You would still see Feminist Frequency being slapped on every single cover of every brand new video game that's coming out. Why is that? Why are we not seeing that? Because at the end of the day, all these awards, again, all these awards, all this crap that she was receiving was nothing more than political nonsense. Okay? Because during that time period, it was the exact same time period where the Me Too movement and all these other women and feminists and all these other spaces were like, hey, there's not enough women in the writers' rooms for making movies, TV shows, all this other crap. There's not enough female producers, not enough leading female actors, not enough female CEOs, not enough, Hillary Clinton was trying to run for president. Hey, we need a female president going on here, okay? All that crap was going on with this, what I call dirt wave feminism during that time period. And so she was a part of that dirt wave feminist movement that was trying to make the breach into pop culture space. And she was able to do so and was able to make a lot of money, make a lot of connections, and have a lot of influence over the space. But now it's starting to run dry because at the end of the day, none of the games that she apparently was attached to, right, her company or her herself was asked to be a part of to help the developers create good female characters, right? It kind of seems like nothing was really produced. There wasn't really any real content being created, like we see with Disney right now. Disney is firing a bunch of their diversity officers and all these other diversity directors and all this other crap, right? Because at the end of the day, these people aren't producing anything. They were hired. They were hired because these companies thought that, hey, we need to have inclusion and representation, right? And hopefully, by doing so, by listening to these individuals that we're hiring, we will get these people, these marginalized groups of people, coming on board and watching our content. Okay. Turns out nobody's watching their content. Nobody's buying their content. Nobody's checking in and buying tickets to come watch their movies. Because at the end of the day, their so-called representation, the people that they were supposed to be representing, they don't exist. These people don't exist. They're essentially an echo chamber of a bunch of college kids who go to college, go to liberal arts colleges, learn all this BS nonsense, radical ideologies. They then try to apply it into the real world, try to market their products off of it, and then they realize that the vast majority of Americans and the vast majority of people in the West, they don't care about that crap. They don't care about feminist theory. They don't know what it is. They don't understand. They want hard-hitting, action-packed video games. Okay? They want good quality video games with good characters, good characterization, good mechanics. They don't care about inclusion, diversity. All that crap can come later. Okay, we need good quality content when it comes to movies, TV shows, video games, comic books, whatever in the pop culture space. We need, first of all, good quality content with stories, whatever, right? You can attach a female, a black person, or whatever to that character. You just need to make sure that the character is written good. The story that that character is focused on is, that the story is focused on is actual good story that people can see themselves not only in the same situation, but also can empathize with those characters, right? Again, we can go back to the whole Mary Sue argument. These characters are essentially a bunch of people who live in an echo chamber, self-inserted themselves or their political ideologies as a character in a already existing IP. And when people look at that character, they're like, I can't empathize with this person. I cannot see myself in this position because this character is written to just be a everyman. This person is written to just be that overpowered character that can just do anything. I can't see myself as that, right? That's not interesting to me. There's no struggles that this character is going through, right? Like all the other characters that came before it. Sorry, you need to create good quality content and stop sitting here pushing a bunch of political nonsense down everybody's throat because we're not going to buy it. So hopefully this is not too long of a video. Hopefully you guys stuck along with me to the very end. But like always, stay safe, stay sane, be vigilant, like, share, subscribe, and I'll see you, Patriots, on the battlefield.